catching up when we're gonna meet, and if there is any service we can take, that will be even better. And it's such a beautiful system for the spiritual family, as we were saying, what Srila Prabhupada has put together. I mean, it's great that we all are in London, but even when we travel out somewhere, then also. So when I did Bhakti Vaibhav, module 2, I just finished. Then one of the teacher was a Maharaji from Spain. And he said that you are in London, you should come to Spain. And we've been to Spain, but we didn't go to Madrid. So this time we are planning to go to Madrid. And Maharaji said that when you will come to us. So only after that, we have booked the flight for Madrid, so we can go and stay sometime.
Yeah.
Association of Maharaji. Maharaji is so sweet, so sweet. Well, all the devotees, wherever we go, has always been so kind, and it feels like you're there. Like when we go to India to meet the family, extended family, and in ISKCON, there are so many temples all over the world. So whether somebody wants to travel, somebody got a tourism bug, or just want to explore places, there are so many different temples from America to Australia, and of course in between, wherever we go, we find the temple. So great.
You know, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, you know, whenever you go to any place, especially in Europe, it is more easier to find ISKCON places, temples where you can have prasadam, than it is to find vegetarian restaurants.
True, very true, Prabhuji. Yes, yes. Same thing. When we went there, sometimes they ask, they say, so what would you like? I say, well, we know we are coming to the temple and we will get vegetarian food. So whatever is there, it will be a prasad and we will really, really cherish.
Yeah.
In fact, we had Malaysian friends recently to our place. And we were discussing when we went to Thailand and Malaysia, both places, we found the temple.
Yeah.
There's it's not a small, it's massive island called Phuket in Thailand.
Yeah, heard of it. Yeah,
there's a temple there, and then of course in Malaysia there is a temple.
Yeah.
These people who came, they were from Penang, which is a very traditional and convention place, and they said there is a massive temple there, and when they do the Rath Yatra, they kind of block everything. And this is a couple living here in London, recently relocated. They are from South India, and they've been here very like I think 1 year or so.
Okay.
And they were born in Malaysia, I think first or second generation, so they are
okay.
But ISKCON temple is one of those highlights which they share, and only later they realized that we are also associated. Otherwise we were just asking their spiritual offerings, that what do they do, and ISKCON temple was top of the list, that whenever we have when we go there. So Hare Hare Prabhupada ki jai. Let's resume back. I had yes, this is beautiful darshan of the temple from Manor today on YouTube. So we always connect for in the morning from 4:30 Mangala Aarti. So this is not for Mangala Aarti, this is what we call Guru Puja. So from 4:30, and if we see, I think the name will appear, and name says Bhaktivedanta Manor Media. So on YouTube we can look for that. I can share the link, and now and then we get, so even if we forget, then the system is so great that the YouTube will remind us that it's been a while you haven't watched, and this is one of those. So any events, any live sessions happen from the manor, from the temple, and they all are there on YouTube. There is another one called Krishna Haveli. So since we go Haveli, Krishna Haveli, there's another YouTube channel set up for that. But of course, when we watch Bhaktivedanta Manor, then that's also recommended. 4:30 in the morning, beautiful, very slow Mangala Aarti, and that goes until 5:15, and then from 5:15 to 7 we have chanting, and then from 7 onwards we have Guru Puja. So that's all. That's I think this is the darshan, and that so in Mangla Aarti, the darshan is from yesterday, a day before. So how somebody was sleeping. So the Lord slept, and just before Lord got ready for the day, the very first darshan in Mangla Aarti, and so Krishna looks so no jewelry, no garland, just a normal clothes, and it's very intimate, like a personal relationship when we go to Mangla Aarti, and not a lot of people.
Yeah.
Guru Puja, not a
Yeah.
lot of devotees are around. Of course, Bhaktivedanta Manor, there are many devotees around.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate when I lived in Bhakti Center in Harrow for a few months because the family was not in the country. I had recently relocated back. And then I was there. Then almost every day we used to go, we used to wake up 3:30, and around 4, 4:15, we will go, and 4:30 we will have it. And without any exception, anyone who been there considered that as the most transcendental experience in Mangla Aarti.
It is no doubt. And especially when they sing the Brahma Samhita in the morning,
Yes.
it is it is so nice, so pleasing to hear.
Yes, that's so true, Prabhuji. And when we do Bhakti Vaibhav, then we do the verses from Brahma Samhita. And
Yeah.
so what I tend to do, every day I recite those mantras. So well, this is the mantra we do today. But this is Brahma Samhita. So this
Yeah.
is when we do Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, then Bhagavad Gita, Shri Īśopaniṣad, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction. So these four for Bhakti Shastri. But then in Bhakti Vaibhav, we start learning the Bhagavatam. And then in Bhagavatam, well, Bhakti Vaibhav module 2, we start learning Brahma Samhita verses as well. And as you said, it's so melodious.
So many. Yeah.
And it reminds, and it's directly from Brahmaji. I mean,
Yeah.
we say in Jivatma, there is no one superb, and he was the very first human, and he is the best human.
Yes.
Of course, considered as the Lord Brahma, but he's the one who is doing these prayers to Krishna. And it cannot get better than that. Where, of course, being any devotee who will pray to Krishna with the feelings, but Ishvara Paramaka Krishna Satyachit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Govind Sarvakaran.
Karanam. Yeah.
All of them, of course, the singers are so nice that the way they sing, melodious, and all the devotees around. I mean, where else we can find the system where 4:30 in the morning devotees are chanting and dancing? It's a beautiful system Srila Prabhupada put together.
Yeah, it's very ecstatic. I used to attend the Brahma Samhita in the Mumbai temple, the Jew temple, back in those days, and it was so pleasing.
Yes.
In the morning.
Yes. Thank you so much for the reminder, Prabhuji. We all should be. So if we haven't, then certainly this is one of those things we should. And our Radhesham Prabhuji from Pune, when he went to America, one of the devotee there asked him that, so the devotee I think was doing PhD, was from India, but was doing PhD. And he said that, I don't get the time. And then Prabhuji used to say that, take all your time for PhD from Monday to Saturday, as much as you want. But make sure on Sunday you always visit the temple. And this devotee, fortunately enough, did his Bhakti Vaibhav module 2 with me. And I can tell you, he was the best. And he was the youngest one. I think he was not even 30. He was 20 something. And he did his engineering from IIT in India. And then after that, he went to America to do PhD. And when he was doing IIT, he got in touch with devotees. And then he been associated with Radhesham Prabhuji. And Radhesham Prabhuji gave him this reply. And since then, he said, whatever I do, and it used to be very late. When we did the sessions from Mayapur, in London, it was like it's still morning. But for America, it was late in night, and he used to attend those sessions, and it's amazing. Yeah, of course, in age he's so young, but spiritually he's so high,
Yeah,
and all his recitations and the lectures he, because obviously as part of that we give lectures as well there. We do a
yeah,
PhD lecture, and the lecture that was the best lecture of the whole series, and there were people there, like there was another Prabhuji who was 70 plus, so he spent like most of his life in Krishna consciousness. But again, this Prabhuji, who wasn't even 30. And this is only going back this February when we did the final presentation. So of
yeah,
course. Yeah.
yeah. Good. Speaking about Radhesham Prabhuji, I have subscribed to a YouTube channel of Amol Lila Prabhuji, and I think he's just released a video 2 weeks back, something, where
Oh,
he's wherein he's interviewing Radhesham Prabhuji. So Radhesham Prabhuji is often he is walking through his childhood, how he grew up and things like that. It is,
yes. Okay. That will be interesting. Yes.
yeah,
And
and
yeah, Amog Leela Prabhuji is of course from Delhi. So we listen, especially my mother-in-law. She was listening to Prabhuji for Ramayan because he did series of Ramayan lectures.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, he got his own style, and he's amazing the way he connects to youth. Uh,
yes,
yeah, and the
and
thing,
yeah, absolutely. And Prabhuji, speaking about age, he was one of his recent videos. He was interviewing a boy devotee.
uh,
Uh, I think that boy was only hardly about 7 years, 6, 7 years,
oh
and he had learned about 2,000 shlokas
wow,
from Bhagavatam already. And the way he was, I think I'll send you that link. I'll search and send you
please
that link, Prabhuji.
please share in
He,
the group, Prabhuji. Yes,
huh?
please share in the group. It will
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah. Sure, sure, sure.
inspiring for everyone.
So that little boy devotee, he had gained such an expertise already on reciting the verses from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
So Amol Lila Prabhuji simply said, that he has just come back to finish some leftover work, and he's definitely going back to Godhead in after this life.
Yes, yes, very good.
Yeah,
So good. Thank you so much for sharing that, Prabhuji.
yeah,
And
no problem, Prabhuji.
it's always good to hear about so highly elevated devotees.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much. So let's resume our sessions. As I said, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's do Mangalacharan, take the blessing, and then we shall move forward. Om. अज्ञानातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाजराशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपं
रूपं
तदाह्रियं
तदमय्यं
ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्
स्वपदान्तिकम्
वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं
गुरु
श्रीयुधां
पदकमलं
श्रीगुरुं
वैष्णवा
श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं
अन्वितां तं सजीवम्
साधुवेतं सवादूतं परिगणा सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं
श्रीकृष्णपदान् सहगना
श्रीविशाखावितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु
दीनबन्धु जगत्पते
गोपेश
गोपिका
गोपिकान्त
कान्त राधा
नमस्तुते सप्तकञ्चन
गौराङ्गी राधे
वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
कर्मामि हरि
प्रिय Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha
Namo
Vishnu Padaya
Krishna Preshaya
Krishnaya
Bhutale
Bhutale
Srimate
Srimate Bhakti
Bhakti
Vedanta Swami
Vedanta Namane
Namane
Namaste
Namaste
Saraswati
Saraswati
Devi Gauravani
Devami Pracharine
Pracharine
Nirvishesha
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Shunyavadi
Paschatya
Paschatya
Devadine
Devadine
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu
Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaura Bhattacharya Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama, Rama Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai
Guru Maharaj ki jai,
Jai.
Jai Shri Radhe Krishna, Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our sessions on Shri Īśopaniṣad. So there are 18 mantras and currently we are on 10th mantra. And we have already spent 4 sessions on it. So today is the 5th session. And hopefully we will conclude the session today. That this is the part where we have seen, so the very first mantra, before the first mantra starts, which is Īśāvasyam concept was introduced in Shri Īśopaniṣad. Srila Prabhupada ji inaugurated Shri Īśopaniṣad with one of the mantras from our scriptures, which says, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So this verse says that Krishna is Purna, the Lord, absolute personality of Godhead. Ishwar is Purna, is complete, and we have emanated from that Ishwar, and we are also complete in qualities. Those qualities are there within, but let's say they are in dormant form. So that's the reason we don't realize it. It's like we always say, we have some currency in our 10 pound in our pocket, but we don't know about it. It's there with us. We don't have to go out anywhere to find it. It's there within us, but we just need to realize it. So until unless we will realize it, somebody else can come and say, oh, you got 10 pound in your pocket. You forgot about it, but it's there. But until unless we will put our own hand in our pocket to realize that 10 pound note is there, and maybe take it out and see it is 10 pound note, right? It's not just a piece of paper. It is what we expect it to be. And that's how the God realization, the Bhagwan realization, the Bhagwan, the Brahman and the Paramatma realization works, that we realize we are that the complete energy of the Lord. And then moving forward, we got the session in, and this is kind of in the middle. So mantra 9, 10, and 11 regarding the understanding of the knowledge, what is considered as the knowledge. And the theme here is that the real knowledge means following up a process to realize one's true spiritual nature. As I said, the nature is still there within us, has always been, because that's the real nature. It cannot be taken, and that's the beauty. It's not that COVID comes and COVID will take away, or if we will change the industry, something will go away, or something will go away material wise, but not spiritual wise. Spiritually, we have always been part and parcel of Krishna, and that true identity, and that's what we call false ego. So we have the gross body, this physical body, and then we have the subtle body. And in the subtle body, we have the mind in between. Then on the good side, intelligence, and not so good side is aham, the false ego. And the true ego is which identifies. False ego, which identifies with the wrong thing. We say this is ours. But the true identity, when we realize what we are, who we are, And that's the knowledge. So any knowledge which helps us to realize that, that's what we are looking for. Hare Krishna. Please, Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Is true ego, which is, as you say, just an identity, is it classified as good? Or sometimes that can have bad points as well?
True identity or true ego will always be good, Mataji.
Okay.
Because it is what we are, and we are spiritual, and we are Satyachit Ananda. And if we are Satyachit Ananda, then that cannot be bad. And that's what we are. Only when it becomes fake, and whenever we say false ego, the ego comes with maybe the relationships. So I was born in Delhi. In Delhi, it says that people, because there are many politicians, whenever fight happens, somebody will say, oh, you don't know who am I, or whom I know. And that's the basic idea. Because people, they take pride in whom we know, or who is my relative. So those relations, they're very temporary. Those connections are very temporary. It could be a blood relationship, but that blood relationship also ends at one point. And there was a time when that blood relationship wasn't there. So all this is false ego. It could be the beauty, it could be the skill we have, it could be the virtue we have. But the true identity is that we are part and parcel of the Lord, we are the servant of the Lord, and that identity will never be good. Of course, what can happen, that we get that true identity. However, Krishna says that whoever arrives to my abode never falls down. But of course, we were there and we fell down. So again, the word we use, it appears like contradiction. It's not a contradiction, but it appears like contradiction because we didn't fall down. We actually had the desire. Right? And Krishna said, okay, you have the desire, go and enjoy it, no worries. And all the parents here, we can understand. Sometimes we do that with kids. So we will say to kids, don't eat so many chocolates, don't eat so many ice creams, the weather is bad outside, don't go play. But they insist so much and they feel miserable. They start crying, they will throw tantrums, and you might say, maybe it's better if they will go out and experience for themselves, and then they come back and then they realize the parents were right. And the parents will let them go. And that's what happened, that Krishna just said, okay, if you want to play, I will give you the material world, go play. And then when you will realize that it's miserable place, that most happiest place was with your parents, with me, then come back. I'm here waiting for you, no hurry. So that's the true identity. And true identity. Yes, please.
Prabhuji, when we say that, yes, Krishna is mine and I belong to Krishna and Krishna is my friend, that can give us a bit of a sense of a false ego there, isn't it? That Krishna is mine. That when is it something that what gopis did and then Krishna disappeared from the
yes. Haribol. So today in the lecture at Bhaktivedanta Manor, after the Guru Puja, the Bhagavatam session happened, and Prabhuji there, very experienced Prabhuji, he mentioned this as well there, that yes, that's where spiritually we get that pride. But that pride is it's like when the mothers have the pride for the child, that oh, it's my boy. And whether that's a pride in good sense, that oh, my child, not that the child has done something great compared to others, and that mother wants to feel special compared to other mothers. No, genuinely the mother will feel good, even if the child is running alone, didn't defeat anything, but the mother is happy. Oh, that's my child, right? And so that's what, yes. So you're right, in Rasa dance, when Krishna was there between two gopis, so everyone thought, oh, Krishna is there with me. And that's so true, that spiritually, this could happen, that a lot of time devotees, they unfortunately, sometimes they start criticizing other sampradayas, that, oh, our sampradaya is right. But then we can understand that anyone who will do that will not be on, like we say, Kanishtha, Madhyam, and Uttamadhikari. Uttamadhikari will never do that.
Mm.
Uttamadhikari will never do that. So all the Maharajis, we say, they never ever criticize anyone. And if we see, of course, they can say they feel compassion. So Radhanath Swamiji Maharaj, he has said it a number of times. So he's open, and whenever he travels, many different people from different religions, they come and they discuss things, they ask questions. And Maharaj is so humbly, so politely, he answers everyone. Because others cannot see, but he can see Krishna in everyone.
Mm.
Right? For him, and this is what my understanding is, that for him, there is no Hindu or non-Hindu. There is no that this person belongs to Gauriya Math or this person belongs to ISKCON. For him, everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. And the one who has realized it, so of course he sometimes he will go strong on his disciple, and he might show a lot more compassion on somebody who is not his disciple. And somebody asked that looks like you are a bit harsh on your disciples. Another disciple, senior Prabhuji asked this. Everybody started laughing, and then Maharaji said that observation is right, because you know what is right, and still you're doing bad. But those people, they don't know what is right. So it's their mistake they are doing. But what you are doing is committing sin, because you know it's bad and still you're doing it. And that's there in the Shastras as well, that if we do something unintentionally, unknowing, then that could be forgiven. But if we do something knowingly or with a hidden agenda, intentionally, then Krishna is there as a Chaitya Guru in our heart. Krishna will definitely find us.
So intention that matters, isn't it?
Intention is what alone, if there is one thing, like Prabhupada said, desire. That desire to serve Krishna is good enough. Whether we will be able to serve or not, that's a different thing. But the desire is there, and there are so many. I've been to Vrindavan where I've met this very old, fragile mother, and the Mataji is there. She might have been above 100, and it's in a temple, and she's just on one side. So I asked someone that this Mataji seems very old, and then the person started laughing, and the person said, you know what, in this temple, so that temple wasn't ISKCON temple, that was another temple in Vrindavan. There are so many temples in Vrindavan. It was a very small temple, next to Govindaji's temple. And then the person I spoke to, who said that this lady is the founding member of this temple and is the most regular. And no one knows that when she comes, when she goes, feels like she's always in meditation.
Wow.
And when you look at her, it's, for me, I can say it's so hard that her body was so, at least appeared to be so fragile. She was so old. But the person I spoke to said that when we see her, because obviously in Vrindavan, being part of North India, sometimes it becomes very cold, sometimes it becomes very hot in summer, and during festival times it becomes very crowded. So, and I have my own relatives. Recently, well, the last time I went there, I spoke to my Mamaji who lives there in Vrindavan, and he said, we don't usually go out during festival time. We are in our home only. And I said, Mamaji, people, they want to retire in Vrindavan, they leave everything to be in Vrindavan, and you don't go out of Vrindavan to do the Prakama and all. He said, we do Prakama when the festival is gone, because otherwise there is so much rush. Otherwise we stay in the home. And I visited someone else, and that person also said the same thing. I met one Mataji in France when we lived in Paris. And that Mataji was the mother of the president of the temple. And that was ISKCON temple. That Mataji, a French lady, she retired in Vrindavan. She lives in Vrindavan. She was there in middle of France, called the temple called New Mayapur. And the Mataji said that I'm only back to renew my visa. Otherwise, I live there. She said the same thing, that I find it hard to go out in the temple. So we stay in our complex, and we go many god brothers and and sisters, and we celebrate everything within the compound. A lot of times we don't go out. We just stayed in there. And but this old Mataji, so I was told that doesn't really matter whether it rain or it shine or festival, less people, more people, she's always there. She's always there. No one has seen her eating. And then, of course, the person went that they are rare souls, but that's the reason people go to Vrindavan. That the Dham is a place where there are so many such different souls are there, and they're full of. So you never know. We have met many others who were successful medical doctors in a foreign country, and somehow they decided, okay, we had enough and we are going. Not in Vrindavan, but another place just next to Vrindavan. They bought a house there and they stay there now. And we met them when we were doing Govardhan Puja, and that's why we live here. Then we have seen the world. We don't want our kids to see it because we have realized that's not a good place to be, and we prefer here in Vrindavan. And of course, we know Madhava's rock band. If we want to see on YouTube, Madhava's rock band, beautiful spiritual songs they do, bhajans they do, and they were in Mumbai doing for movies and all. They decided to go spiritual completely, and they have moved to in the Vrindavan now.
Really, very famous group.
Very famous group, yes, and very poor. They have a shop there in Parkamma Marg, and I think every morning they do the charity. They do like a prasad, but different times of the day, different prasads they freely they distribute there, and anyone could go and anyone could meet there. They're also preparing a Goshala there, so they would like to take care of a lot of cows, and some donations going out for that as well. And I think Prabhuji did a video for that. So it's amazing that some of the work the devotees are doing around the world. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for that, Mataji. It's amazing when we go around and we see what other devotees are doing. And there are so many different opportunities here. But of course, while here in London, most of the time we feel like we are in the best hands. So somebody say, oh, you are lucky you are in London. And Prabhupada used to say, you are lucky if you got Krishna in your house. It doesn't really matter where that house is. Krishna should be in the center. If Krishna is not there, it doesn't really matter how big the house is, how luxurious the life is, or how comfortable the life is. But if Krishna is there, it doesn't really matter if it's a hut or it's a big mansion. And we have seen it. Many, many examples we have seen is, well, some new, some old, some more renowned, like Surdas, Kabir Das Ji, Mirabai, Jinder, Tukaram Ji. They were happy they didn't have anything. And they were so happy. And on the other hand, they are the billionaires in the world, and they are always in controversies, always disturbing themselves and the world. And it makes us think that why don't we stop and think that, of course, we need to have material world to sustain, but maybe what we are running towards or what we are preparing our kids towards, then it's not the ultimate. That it could be on the sidelines, do this, but the spiritual side should be the main focus. Unfortunately, it's other way around. And that is the essence of this mantra, where we say the culturing knowledge. So we need to have so knowledge is not one of those things which so for example, somebody will say how tall or how high the Mount Everest is, for example. And somebody say 8,000 odd feet. Oh God, okay. And then this is the knowledge. But this is not the knowledge we need to cultivate. Cultivating knowledge is what mentioned here, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 13, from 8 to 12 verses. And there, Abhyam, it's fearlessness will come, humbleness will come, humility will come. Those are the features which we cultivate, and they come by the knowledge of that true ego we talked about. When we know that whatever we got, so all those reasons which make us feel proud or feel to be the proprietor, the ownership of something or someone. Sometimes husbands think for the wives, for the children. It could be other way around. Children will say, oh, I'm the son or daughter of so and so. So they have the ownership of, or they like to take the benefit of their lineage. But that's not the knowledge. That's not going to help us. If we become Krishna conscious, the knowledge, cultivating those 18 items, they will develop in us gradually, slowly. And they are the yardstick of our spiritual journey. So while we are on the spiritual journey, we can see these differences are coming. Otherwise, the ego, the false ego is always there. And we have seen what happens. The very first thing, of course, we say, so chapter 3 at the end, chapter 2 also, because chapter 2 is the summary, chapter 3 is on karma, that why we do karma. We do karma because we have the desire to do it. We study because we have the desire. We do work because we have the desire. We travel because we have the desire. We retire because we have the desire to retire. But why do we have a desire? We have a desire because we have contemplating on it. We have thought about it. True. So somebody was in touch saying for aerospace engineering, for example. Well, the student must have heard of aerospace. And because of that, the person, the student, the parents, they thought about it. Right? Computer engineering is going on. So people say, oh, computer engineers, they get money. So let's become computer engineer. So they contemplated on it. They thought about it. So that thought, that desires, they kind of lay path for our action. And this is what we're saying, that if those desires, if those contemplations, they change, then our actions will automatically change. And if we have the false ego, we will go in darkness. We will go in darkness because of false ego, the false ownership, because we don't have any ownership. A very, very classic example, I forgot the spiritual teacher name, so one of the disciple asked Guru, said that you say we are dependent on Krishna, but and you also say that the actions we do, they bound us. So karma yoga is there. The karma, the actions we do, if we surrender the returns, the fruits of our karma to Krishna, that Krishna, I will do this action, I will do the exams to best of my capability. But whether I get the good marks, whether I get good admissions, that's not in my hands. I'll leave that on to you, but I will try my best. That's it. Right? So similarly, a student said that, okay, you have said, if we do this, that goes good. If I don't do this, then the karmas, they bound us. And the disciple didn't understand that. And this was very confusing, that you'd say, we are dependent on Krishna, but I think I'm independent. You say karmas, they bound us, but I'm free to do any karma. I'm listening to your lecture, I can always go away. And the teacher smiled and teacher said, okay, how about this, that you stand up? So he was sitting and teacher said, how about you stand up? And he stood up and then said, okay, lift one leg. And he lifted one leg. And then he said, the teacher said, now please lift your second leg also. He thought about it and he said, I can't lift my second leg. He said, why not? This is your own legs. You're independent to raise your legs, can't you? He said, yes. So this is where he explained in detail what he said was so powerful. And if you think life in such a way, so what he said, what the teacher said that when I ask you to lift your first leg, you're independent, right? You could have lifted your left leg, you could have lifted your right leg. You were independent. But as soon as you did the action, thinking that you are independent and you lifted one leg, you became dependent, right? You became dependent. If you will lift your left leg, you cannot lift your right leg. If you will lift right leg, you cannot lift your left leg. So think about it. And these are the gross examples. Of course, there are so many things. Our heart is beating. We cannot do anything. We have liver, kidney. We cannot say to liver, you are my liver. Now, from today, take rest because you've been going bad for a while. Doctor said you need to take rest. No, we don't have any control. We don't have control on our eyelashes, eyelids. And this is what there is another beautiful song full of complaints from gopis who says that Brahma, you are so bad that you have given us these eyelashes, eyelids, that we cannot control them. We have to. We are looking at Krishna and then we lose the focus because the eyelids, they go down. We don't want to waste that milliseconds because we are looking at Krishna. We don't want to lose that. And this is where we understand if we have that false ego, then the karmas we do, they will definitely bind us because that ownership has never been there. It's only we thought that ownership is there, but it's not. It's not. Whether it's in business or in it's a personal or it's a spiritual. So this is what we need to understand. If we go through identity and we totally surrender ourselves, then these 18 qualities, they gradually start developing in us. And we have seen this. If we will ask somebody to start doing yoga, for example, then that person might not have to do anything else. Of course, we'll have to control the diet, I guess, but we'll not have to do anything extra to reduce weight or to feel light or to not only light in the sense of physical, but even mentally, more relaxed, more anxiety-free. And this has happened. So our company organizes yoga, and some of the people who attend there, they have shared their feelings. That a lady said that, oh, I used to be so anxious, but I joined yoga to be fit. But I realized that since I started doing yoga, now I don't get so much stress what I used to be. I joined yoga just for physical benefits, but I get so peaceful. So sometimes twice in a week we do it. And she says those 2 days are my best days of the week. And it's like she doesn't have to. These are byproducts. So these 18, they will become byproducts if we will identify what the true knowledge is. And the true knowledge is that we are part and parcel of Krishna. Īśopaniṣad idam sharanam. Īśopaniṣad principle. Everything belongs to Krishna. And whatever we get, we should surrender. Acquire from a dhira. Now this is a very good. So there are two meanings of dhira. Dhira is the patience that we should. Now somebody else also said it. It's so interesting that what East has said, what the Vedic culture has said it, the Western philosophers, they also reach to the similar conclusion. So I think Bernard Shaw, he said it that we should learn the art of always be happy from nature, and it is to be patient. Hare Krishna. Ajayji, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. A question. As we always mention, like we are part and parcel of Krishna, then why a lot of people, they have suffering, even you are part of and parcel of Krishna?
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Ajayji. So nice. If you see, I got glasses, and sometimes kids say, because I tell them, see, you need to be nice. If you won't be nice, then you are doing bad karma. And so these kind of languages we use. And of course, they have been listening since childhood. Now they are grown up, or they are growing up. So they are coming back now with a lot of philosophy of their own. They say, Jadi, you're wearing this glass. You must have done bad karma. And I have to raise my hand, even though I don't remember. But I must have done something wrong. And I don't have to go to the previous birth. Even in this birth, when I was a child, I must have, even though I don't remember watching a lot of TV, but definitely maybe nutrient wise, I don't think I ever did I was conscious enough to be what I'm reading, where I'm reading, what I'm eating. Maybe not. Maybe I used to watch, or maybe I didn't take care. So for some reason I got the bad, but it got to be my own karma based on which I got the glasses. And similar thing somebody could say for fatty liver, we were discussing yesterday with someone, the kidney failure, or any mishaps happen. So now we are part and parcel of Krishna, but that's, if you think about, that's a spiritual. The soul is a Satya Chitananda, right? So even if I got the glasses, yes, sometimes the pain is there, right? Pain is there in the sense that I might have to get a bigger number, or maybe I have to wear it all the time. When I go for the cycling, then it will start sweating, or maybe for the swimming, I will have to take out of it. So that kind of pain is there. But that pain or discomfort, if I say, is never big enough to disturb my tranquility, my happiness. Right? My happiness will not grow, because that happiness is spiritual. Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he died because of throat cancer. And even at the end of the day, a very, very profound experience while he was going through, one of his disciples said that, so he was in pain, and it was visible that he's in pain. And somebody asked that, is it really painful today? And he said, yeah, it's really painful. But then that was a senior disciple and said, but still I see you are happy. And he started laughing. And he said, in Bengali, he said, oh, you have seen it. You have seen it means you have seen that spiritual part which is behind all this suffering. Right? So, and this is Ramakrishna Paramahansa, based on Advait philosophy from Upanishad. Then we go to Buddha. What did Buddha say? Buddha said, the pain will always be there, right? The suffering, if you think of the suffering. So, of course, in material world, the body will go down, the relatives will go down, the circumstances we cannot control. So we call 3 different types of Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, Adi Jatmik. These 3 different kind of miseries will always be there. But again, they can only affect our body. So we always say we are part and parcel of Krishna, spiritually, qualitatively. Qualitatively, we are the same, but quantitatively, we are not. So, and we haven't realized it. And that's the whole reason. Anyone who is spiritual will not get in sorrow. Anyone who is material will always, not always means 24/7, but now and then will definitely get into unhappiness. And that's the main difference. We are part and parcel of Krishna, but materially we will go down. And as long as we will keep identifying ourselves materially, we will feel bad. So I hope.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, please.
Yes, I was just what you said, the last sentence, that we as a living entity, we are independent, we are sort of part and parcel, but this, what we are suffering, good things, bad things, is this karma that this material body is experiencing, isn't it? Which has gone through.
True.
So karma affects only the material body, not our spirit soul, which is, as you say, Satchitananda.
Yes. Yes. Very true, Mataji. That's so true, that all these experiences are only for the material body. So when we eat, and we have seen it here in our lives as well. So those people who get jaundice, you give them something, they don't get the taste. I have a relative who is very old now. Unfortunately, he's going under chemotherapy. He lost all his taste. So why? Because materially in the body something is gone wrong. But spiritually, material is the same thing he's eating, what he has been eating since all his life. But because material body is not working, the taste is gone. But spiritually, that taste, that Satya Chitananda is always there. And we have seen it. We have now and then we have felt that in the same circumstances, like what Mataji you did, when unfortunately you had a loss in your family and you took your sister, maybe whether you consoled her, you were there with your sister, or you took your sister to the temple, the loss was still there. But when I'm sure when she would have been in the temple or in the association of devotees, when she's listening about Krishna, then that goes away. Maybe momentarily, but that goes away. And that's because we tapped into that spiritual bliss, which has always been there, which is always there. You're so right, Mataji. Thank you so much for that point.
One more question, Prabhuji, can I ask?
Yes, please, Mataji.
Yes.
Please.
When it says that yes, spirit is independent, spirit is part and parcel of Krishna, but then in the material world, birth after birth after birth, it identifies itself as the doer and the body.
Yes.
But spirit is independent. Spirit has nothing to do with the body does. I
Yes.
cannot connect the two.
I know. It's so difficult, isn't it? I completely agree with you, Mataji. Whenever we have courses, different courses, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Chaitanya Charitamrita class happened this morning. And now and then, I mean, devotees been in their devotion for 30, 40 years, and they still discuss this thing, that why and how. If we are Satyachit Ananda, then how and where we identify. Actually, I asked this question because I'm kind of very logical person, maybe from my engineering background. I put it down everything on the piece of paper. I drew a flow chart and I asked my teacher, so exactly where and what point the soul got in touch with the material identification, because that's where the trouble is. Okay, but Advaita gives, Srila Prabhupada also said it, but Advaita gives very clear answer to that. So the question, if the question is that when and how the spirit soul get associated or attached to material body, the answer is it doesn't. It doesn't get attached. It doesn't get associated. It's only an illusion. It's only an illusion. An illusion is, and of course, this is coming from Advaita point of view. Srila Prabhupada also said similar lines, and what Srila Prabhupada has said it, that because for a lot of others, and especially those days youngsters, he said, because, so somebody asked, they used to take a lot of drugs, and somebody said, so what is Krishna Loka? Go Loka, you say, come to Krishna, what is Krishna Loka? And Prabhupada said, how shall I explain? So Prabhupada said, there was a famous LCD, I think, LCD or something like that. A drug was there. And they used to take LCD, like some chemical or injections, I believe, to get high. And then they used to feel very light and used to feel very happy. So Prabhupada said, imagine an ocean full of LCD. And then that person became very happy. And person said, I want to go to Goloka. I want to go to Krishna Loka. Now, somebody asked later on that really, Prabhupada said, for them, LCD is not chemical. LCD is not drug. LCD is a mean to happiness. And yes, in Goloka, you will find happiness. And that's the reason I said is the ocean of this, which means it's actually not. But to make us understand, it's been said. And it's so, I completely agree, it's so difficult. But if you go a bit more technical, the way it is, we have the spirit soul, we have the physical body. When physical body, we have the gross body, and then we have the subtle body. It is actually the subtle body where we have intelligence, which is just a gray material. So it's kind of mechanical thing, intelligence. Then we have the mind and the false ego. Now this ego is also, it works on top of mind. Now this mind is the main thing. This mind actually create the illusion that we are associated, we are attached. But the spirit soul and the body is actually not attached. It's just a covering. So it's just a covering. And because of the mind, the illusion happens. So what I'm saying at the moment, or what my mind is thinking at the moment, that's actually not real me. That's under the influence of mind is speaking. Or it's very hard to well, this is actually Upanishad says that the absolute truth, if we try to put absolute truth in words, as soon as we have diluted it. We have diluted it, which means it's not the perfect absolute truth anymore. And that's where unfortunately, the limitation of the words come in. But imagine this, that you might have noticed, we all do some point that, so I can hear my own voice. From my ear, I'm listening to my own. And since childhood, we all recognize our own voice. But when we record ourselves, and when we listen to our recording, we say, no, that's not my voice. That voice seems very different. Isn't it true? What I say at the moment and I hear, that's one voice. That's the voice I identify with myself. But if I record myself and then I listen to my voice, that voice is actually very different. If you ever try that, you record yourself. So sometimes we do it for training purposes. We create the training, or maybe this class is going on YouTube, and sometimes somebody asks and I have to find the YouTube link and I send it. And then if I play and I listen to my own voice, and it feels very different. It doesn't feel exactly like what I feel now. Now the difference in what my voice is and what my voice appears to be, there is a difference in that. What my voice is and what it appears to be. And this is what we discussed in the beginning of Shri Īśopaniṣad, that there are 4 defects. And one of the defects is that we have imperfect senses, right? And we say 6th sense. So we have the 5 senses, and then we have the 6th sense, and that mind is very close to that 6th sense. We say, oh, this is in my mind. So I don't know why I felt like that. So mind and 6 senses, they are very close to each other, and they are only perceptions, not reality. But this is very difficult, I agree, always to understand and always to discuss. But thank you so much, Mataji. I will try to put something together for this, because when we picturize, it's easier. But definitely what the Shastra says, that it's just a covering. There is no association. It's only the perception we see. No, the only thing is we don't see the real me. That's it. So it's not the real me who sees the real me. And I know it's confusing. Sorry, I couldn't do the justice to the response there. Hare Krishna. Anil Prabhuji, would you like to add something? And I appreciate we are going a bit over.
Yeah, Prabhuji, that was a very good example of how you can understand how you can understand the extent to which you are taming your false ego.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree to it. I just wanted to add one more example to it. I play a lot of sports, and sometimes even when I think that probably I can sing well, I record my songs just to get some feedback on how is it. Does it feel the same way as I feel when I'm playing or when I'm singing, when I'm getting the feedback? Is it really the same? And when I actually do that, as you said, I literally realize how bad I am. And I say, no, this is not me. when I actually play, I think I'm the best. But when I look at me playing in the video, I can understand I'm filled with all faults.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a example.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Prabhuji. And you're right. And of course, your singing is great. And well, one of the evidence is that when you were here and you did Radha Madhav, at our place, then a lot of friends, they said that the function was great because we had the yagya, we had the prasad, we had a bit of gathering, a talk. But that at the end, that Kirtan Prabhuji did, that was the cherry on the top. So we are, and that's the reason we said, Prabhuji, whenever you get the chance, we would love to have you back. But of course, when you hear your own voice, it's very different than what others, and even what we hear. So as you said, when you do Kirtan, then you might be feeling, oh, it's nice. But when you hear yourself, it's definitely completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, they are like biological reasons in it. They say when you hear something else is there, you don't hear only from, so when you speak, you don't only hear from your ears, your voice is going inside as well. So it's a different. But when you hear from outside, then you're not speaking. So only ears are working. So there's a bit of explanation there. Well, basically, what we are trying to say is that one is the reality and one is the perception of it. And it is, the material world is actually the perception. So chapter 15, the first verse actually says that the material world is like a reflection of the spiritual world, just like a reflection of a tree which is standing above ground, and the reflection is there in the water.
Yes.
And this is what material world is, that reflection in the water. It's not there. It's just a reflection. Of course, we all are experiencing it. Like somebody will get into the water and say, it's there. The image is there. Image is real. An image is real, but the tree is not real. And it's a hard thing to understand, because now we are tapping into something we are not fully aware and conscious of. But obviously, gradually we move on. It comes back. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So humble and honest of you to share that feedback. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. I appreciate have taken 10 more minutes today. Thank you so much for everyone's association. It's so great to have the discussion going. And we will try to conclude Mantra 10 next week. And again, we are not in rush. It's better to have the discussions more and more. So we can do justice with the mantra and what Srila Prabhupada said. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Hare.
Gurudev Maharaj ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Hare Krishna. Gurudev. Thank you for your association. Looking forward to see you next week. Hare Krishna.